Let's go over the multiple choice questions from paper 3, AQA A-level chemistry exam 2024. The first question asks about which row contain two species with different numbers of electrons. What you do to answer this question is to count the number of electrons in each pair and see which one is different. For example, here NH3 and HF, the nitrogen has 7 electrons and we have 3 of the hydrogen, so total is 10. Hydrogen fluoride, 1 electron for hydrogen, 9 for fluoride, so it's 10. So when you do this counting, you're going to find that it's the H3O plus and the hydrogen F2 plus. Remember that if you have a negative charge, you're going to add 1 extra electron. If you have a positive charge, you're going to remove 1 electron. Which element has the highest third ionization energy? So you need to take two factors into account. The first one is which energy level the electron is removed from, and the second one, which one has the highest nuclear charge. So lithium, the third ionization energy, the electron is removed from 1s, and beryllium is from 1s. Potassium and calcium, both of these will be from 3p. So it's one of the 1s energy levels, and lithium has less nuclear charge than beryllium, so it's the beryllium. Compound P is converted into compound R by two-stage tensors via compound Q. And the individual yields for the reactions are 50% and 30%. So the overall yield for the formation of R will be 30% of the 50%, which is basically 50 times 0.3. So this is going to be 15%. So this is the correct answer. What is the formula of ammonium ethane diidate? So ethane diidate is simply this structure, O minus and O minus. When you have the ammonium, you have two of these ammonium. So now you have NH4 and then it's C2O4. So it's this one. Which diagram shows the formation of dative covalent bond? So the dative covalent bond comes from a lone pair of electron into an atom that has a positive charge. So this one is incorrect because it should come from the nitrogen. This one as well is correct, should come from the nitrogen. This one is correct because the oxygen has lone pair of electrons toward the hydrogen with a positive charge. Which substance does not have any bond angles of 120? We are looking for something that is not actually planar or has 120 angle. So benzene is planar, so it's incorrect. Boron trifluoride is as well has 120, it's planar. Cyclohexane, it's non-planar, and the bond angle is not 120. Which molecule does not have a permanent dipole? We are looking for something that doesn't have any lone pair, so it's all have bonds with the same atom. So NH3 have a lone pair of electrons, 3 bonds, and same BCl3, sulfur dichloride. So it's sulfur with 2 chloride and 2 lone pairs. All of these have permanent dipole, while the silicon with the 4 chloride, this is the one that is symmetric and doesn't have a permanent dipole. Which compounds form the greatest number of hydrogen bonding per molecule in the liquid state? First of all, this is an ether, so there is no OH or NH. There is no hydrogen bonding at all in this one. This is an aldehyde, so there is no OH or NH, so there is no hydrogen bonding. We have the alcohol and OH and the carboxylic acid with COOH. The alcohol will form only one hydrogen bonding, while the carboxylic acid can form two different hydrogen bonding, one from the carbonyl group and one from the OH. So this one with another oxygen and this one with the hydrogen. So this can form two. So it's this one. Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution curve is shown below. What is represented by the total area under the curve? We know the total area under the curve is the total number of molecules in the reaction mixture. And it's not the total number of reacting molecule, it's the total number of molecules. A student investigated this reaction and they plotted the results in the on the graph. And what value is closest to the rate of the reaction at 70 seconds? So we need to draw the tangent at 70 seconds. So I drew this here, and then we calculate the slope of this tangent. So when I did that, it was 32/80, so it's 0.4. Which statement explains why the rate of the reaction increases when a catalyst is added at constant temperature. So we know that the catalyst will lower the activation energy and will not affect the collision frequency, but it will affect the proportion of successful collision. So collision frequency increases wrong, frequency increases wrong. This is the proportion of successful collision increases because there is a decrease in the activation energy. Yes, this is the right answer. But looking at the final one, proportion of the successful collision increases because there is an increase in the average energy of particles. Average energy of particles does not change. A cell has EMF of plus 2.15 volt, is made from two electrodes, and they give you the half equation for the two electrodes. And they ask about the standard electrode potential for the PPO2 or PPSO4 electrode. This reaction is the one at the positive electrode, so this is the reduction, and at the negative electrode is the oxidation. And we know that the EMF equals the electrode potential for the reduction reaction or minus the electrode potential for the oxidation reaction. So the E of the reduction, the one they ask for, will equal EMF plus the E of the oxidation. So that's going to be the 2.15 minus the 0.46, which is the electrode potential for the oxidation reaction. And that will give you plus 1.69 volts. So this is the correct answer. The value of the ionic product of water Kw at different temperatures are given here below. Which statement is correct? The first one states that the concentration of hydroxide ion in water at 18 degrees is this value. So we know that the Kw equals the product of the hydrogen ion concentration times the OH concentration. And the OH concentration will be the square root of the Kw. So when you calculate that at 18 degrees, you're going to find that the concentration of the hydroxide ion is 8 times 10 to the minus 8 mole per decimeter cubed. So this is the correct answer. Consider the various three elements from sodium to chloride. Which statement is correct? Sodium has the smallest atomic radius. Of course, this is incorrect because the atomic radius decreases as we go to the right. Aluminum has the highest melting point. This is also incorrect because we have silicon. Sulfur is the most electronegative. This is wrong because chlorine is the most electronegative. Chlorine has the highest first ionization energy. Yes, that's the right answer. Which statement correctly describe a trend down group 7 from chloride to iodide or from chlorine to iodine? X represents chloride, bromide, or iodide. The boiling point of HX increases. This is absolutely right. This is because there is an increase in the number of electrons and increase in the intermolecular forces of attraction of the covalent bonds. So this is the right one. Which statement about chloride ion is correct? They are oxidized by concentrated sulfuric acid. Of course, this is wrong. They form a cream precipitate with silver nitrate solution. They form white precipitate. They form cobalt-2 complexes with a tetrahedral shape. Yes, we know that chloride will form a tetrahedral shape with the transition metal ions. They have the electron configuration of this one. Of course, this is wrong because this should be 3p6. This is for the chloride ion. Aqueous aluminum sulfate is added to aqueous sodium carbonate. What are the formulas of the precipitate and the gas formed? We know that when you have an ion which is 3 plus, like aluminum, or iron 3 plus, that will have some acidic property and it will form carbon dioxide. So this is the gas that will be formed, and then it's not going to form the carbonate salt, but the hydroxide. So this is the correct answer. What is the correct structure formula for 4-chloro-2-methyl pentane bent to enoic acid? So let's draw this one. It's 5 atoms, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's pentanoic acid. And then 2 in, so double bond at carbon number 2. We have 3 methyl, and we have 4 chloro. So to draw this one, the structure formula, it's going to be CH3 first, and then we're going to have CHCl, so CH3, CHCl, and then we have C double bond C, and then the CH3 here, and then COOH. So this is the right one. Let's continue answering the questions, multiple choice questions from paper 3 AQA A-level chemistry exam 2024. Question 24, in which conversion does nucleophilic attack the organic reactant? So the first one, A, there is the free radical reaction, so there's no nucleophilic attack. The second one, there is the alkene, so it's electrophilic addition, as we can see. Question the C, there is the alcohol, which gives you alkene, so this is elimination. Again, there is no nucleophilic attack. The last one is the aldehyde, which is attacked by the cyanide, and this is a nucleophilic attack. This is the nucleophilic addition to carbonyl group. The compound Y has this structure formula, which compound is a position isomer of Y. Let's look at the functional group. The functional group here is an ester. So we are looking at an ester, which has a different acid other than the ethanoic acid, because this one is ethanoic acid. The first one is a ketone, so this is a functional group. This is butyl ethanoate. Again, there is the same acid, so it's not actually the structure. It's not position isomers. The hexanoic acid, a different functional group. Again, this is functional group isomer. And then we have propyl propanoate. This is a different carboxylic acid than the other one, and it's still an ester functional group, so this is the correct one. Which compounds show the E and Z isomers? These are the four compounds. I drew them here. As you can see, the first one, there's no isomerization here because there are two hydrogens here, so there is no isomers. The second one, next to the double bond, there are two methyl groups, so there is no isomers as well. The third one, two methyls on the same carbon, so no isomers. The last one, each carbon of the double bond has two different substituents, so this is the correct one. What is the product when 3-methyl butane butanone react with acidified potassium cyanide? This is the nucleophilic addition. So when you add the hydrogen cyanide, the product here is going to be the carbon. The cyanide will attack the carbonyl group. So you're going to have the cyano group here and OH here, and then you're going to have CH3 and then CH3 and then CH3. Now let's look at how to name this one. Start with the cyano number 1, then this is 2, 3, and 4. So this is going to be butanonitrile. And then the substituents, we have 2 methyl groups on carbon 2, so 2,3-dimethyl, and we have 2 hydroxy. So it's 2 hydroxy 2,3-dimethyl butanonitrile. Which statement concerning nylon 6,6 is correct? When you look at this one, butane dioic acid is the one of the reactant. This is wrong. It's not butane, it's ethane. Nylon 6,6 is an addition polymer. No, it's a condensation polymer. Nylon 6,6 can be hydrolyzed by aqueous sodium hydroxide. This is the correct answer. Which statement about the industrial production of ethanol from ethene at 300 degrees is correct? This is an exothermic reaction. The use of an acid catalyst increases the yield. The catalyst doesn't increase the yield for the reversible reactions. The reaction is slower than fermentation. This is wrong. Fermentation is slower. An increase in the temperature at constant pressure will increase the value of Kp. This is also wrong because when we increase the pressure, when increase the temperature, the endothermic reaction will then predominate. So that means the reaction will be pushed to the left. So the Kp value will decrease rather than increase. An increase in the pressure at constant temperature increases the equilibrium yield of ethanol. This is right because there are lower number of moles on the right hand side. So increasing pressure will push the reaction toward the forward reaction. Which compound is formed by the acid hydrolysis of phenylbenzene carboxylate? So I drew the phenylbenzene carboxylate, which is an ester, and we have the benzoic acid or benzene carboxylic acid, and we have the ester functional group. So when you do hydrolysis, you're gonna break the ester functional group to give the acid, which is the benzene carboxylic acid or benzoic acid, plus the phenol. This is the one. So this is C6H5COOH, and this is the product here. Which type of polymer is most difficult to hydrolyze? Of course, the ones which doesn't have any amide or ester bond. So the polyalkene doesn't have any of that, so it's very difficult to hydrolyze. However, polyamides are easier than polyalkene because they have an amide bond. Polyester have ester bond, and protein have the amide as well. In which polymer does hydrogen bonding occur between the polymer chains? We need to look for something that has an NH or an OH. Polyalkene doesn't have any. Polyamide does because it has an NH in the amide bond. The polychloroalkane doesn't have NH or OH, and polyester as well, they don't because they have ester functional group. There is no OH or NH. So it's P. It's B. Which structure show as vital ion of an amino acid? So the vital ion, you need to have a carboxylate group and an NH3 plus at the same time. So the first one, we have one carboxylate, but we have two NH3, so this is wrong. The second one, two carboxylate, one NH3, so this is wrong. This one has one carboxylate, no NH3, so this is wrong. This one has a carboxylate and NH3, so this is the correct answer. This diagram shows a gas chromatogram for a sample containing four isomers with the same molecular formula. The carrier gas is nitrogen and the stationary phase is polar. So this is an important information that the stationary phase is polar, which means that the more the polarity of the compound or the more polar the compound, the more it will retain in the stationary phase, meaning the retention time of it will be longer. So that means the one with the highest retention time here will be the most polar one, and the one with the highest abundance, which is the most available one, is the one which is the second most polar. So let's look at the which one is the most abundant. Let's look at the four structures. So the first one has two hydroxyl groups. The second one has one hydroxyl group. The third one is an alkene with two methoxy groups, which are opposite to each other. So this is the most nonpolar. And this one has two methoxy group, which are not opposite. So this is the second less polar. Least polar. So this one is the most polar because of the two OHs, and this is the second most polar because of the one OH. So this is the right answer because we are looking for the second most polar molecule. Which structure is formed by phenylalanine in solution at pH 3? So at pH 3, this is an acidic solution. So the amino group is going to be hydrolyzed, is going to be protonated. That will give you an H3 plus. So, and the carboxylic acid will remain as it is. It's not going to give you the carboxylate anion. So this one, NH3, and the carboxylic acid stays. So this is the right one. However, just let's look at the other one. This is carboxylate and NH3. So this is wrong because this is going to be CaOH at pH 3. And this one, NH2 plus, which is completely wrong because it will be NH3 plus. And this is carboxylate. This one, NH2 plus, and this is stays as carboxylic acid. However, this is wrong because it has to be